Hi, everyone. Hi, everybody in the room. Hi, everyone online. It's so beautiful and sunny on this side of the room. So if anybody on this side wants to go over to the sunny side at any part, you can go over to the sunny side of the street. If you're at home, maybe you're in a sunny spot too. Anyhow, let's start by finding either a comfortable seated shape or lying on your back. So giving yourself a few moments. Just transitioning from being outside, coming inward. So similar to entering the room and lying out your mat and having a seat, mindfully, thoughtfully, taking a few moments here to drop into your practice. Coming a bit more inward to your internal experience, slowing down. Gentle reminder that you have total agency over your practice. Letting the next 45 minutes of your practice be about you feeling safe and supportive. So if an pose and exercise doesn't feel safe, knowing you can back out without explanation anytime you need to. So giving ourselves a few moments to feel the ground beneath us. And also feel the relationship to our body's breathing. A couple weeks ago, we worked on breathing in and out of the nose, especially with a mask on. The mask for many of us leads us to mouth breathing and chest breathing. And so the benefits of down regulating, feeling a little more calm in our nervous systems by breathing in and out through our nose. And then also feeling the breath down in your lower ribs. So you might feel the breath in your chest for sure, and feel the breath down in your lower rib cage. So if you find it helpful, you could place your hands down on your lower ribs. And as you take an exhale, just very naturally feeling how your ribs draw in and have a sense of going down. And when you inhale, your ribs expand. And so the breath adding to the quality of grounding. And with Thanksgiving right around the corner, it's the perfect time to practice gratitude. So as we find more steadiness and calm, as we're able to slow down the body and the breath, just bringing to mind 2 or 3 things that you are extremely grateful for. And as you bring these 2 or 3 things to mind, giving each one 2 or 3 breaths, just really feeling the gratitude, feeling appreciation through your breathing. And recognizing the feelings associated with gratitude and appreciation. Might feel and check in emotionally. The emotions associated for each one of us are different, a little similar, I'm sure. Just feeling the emotions around appreciation and gratitude in relationship to your breathing will take about 5 breaths. And coming back to your present moment experience. Just going to switch gears a little bit, just waking up a little more core connection. So letting your knees bend, we'll come onto your backs if you're not already on your back. And your feet will come flat on the floor. And then we're just going to slide our hands up onto your lower ribs if you feel comfortable with that. And we're going to encourage the lower ribs to really drop down. So when we tend to be breathing in the chest, we'll also oftentimes flare the ribs and almost like subconsciously hold ourselves up more from the rib cage than say the lower core. So as we drop the ribs down, see if you can also feel a little more strength activation around your transverse abdominis muscles, which are your cummerbund shaped corset-like muscles that wrap all the way around the front, side, and lower back. Okay. So I want to activate a little more tone and strength feeling through that cummerbund. And then also you might feel as you drop your ribs down, more width and space across the back of the rib cage. It might feel a little odd, especially if you're someone who tends to flare the ribs, because your middle back is going to feel potentially longer or maybe more like flat on the floor. You're not going to have that arc or arch in your mid back anymore. Okay. So with that feeling, take a couple breaths. And then we're going to stretch out your shoulders by taking your arms up towards the ceiling. Palms will face in. And then as you take a couple breaths, see if you can just soften through your neck and your jaw. You might rest your tongue on the roof of the mouth. And then the ribs staying down. As you inhale, stretch your arms overhead, bringing your thumbs towards, maybe the floor. That's a big stretch. If you touch the thumbs on the floor, really check in that you didn't pop or arch your back. So chest and ribs stay dropped. And then we'll take the arms with an exhale back up towards the ceiling. We'll take a full inhale. And one more time, drop the ribs with an exhale and bring your arms overhead. And this time, when your arms come overhead, slide the shoulder blades up your back just a little bit and reach your arms back. And then see if you can feel what you can't see, your back. And then exhale, let your heart soften towards the floor, right between the shoulder blades. A little more grounding. 2 breaths. And then your arms can come back up towards the ceiling. Let's take your arms out wide like a T, similar alignment, trying to keep the back of the ribs really wide, the back of the heart spacious. Stretch out through the collarbones, out through the fingers, and exhale, pull the arms back up towards the ceiling. One more time with an exhale, drop the ribs and let your arms open up towards a T. Let your arms, if they will, just float off the floor. So your arms don't actually come all the way down to the floor. They're floating. And then feeling 2 breaths. And then exhale, arms come back up. Let's add the legs for a little more core stability. So knees coming up over your hips. Legs straightening just to your capacity. So if you lift your shins or your feet up to the floor and it gets really tight in your hips, keep a little bend, that's okay. Arms come up. And then we'll take all the limbs out wide like a Y or an X. And we'll exhale, pull the limbs up. Reach your arms overhead and lower your heels a little bit. Try not to arch your back as you do this. So then the limbs come back up. We go wide into our X or our Ys. We come up. Arms overhead, heels lower a little bit, keeping the back of the ribs dropped, front of the ribs, front chest drops. And then 2 more like this on your own. Following your core with your breathing, follow from your breath. Moving the limbs independently from the spine, core, rib cage area. If you want to hold any of these shapes, feel free. And then we'll bring all the limbs back up towards the ceiling and lower them all down to the ground. And come back to your present moment breath experience. Knowing the ground is right there to hold you up, coming back to your breathing. You might come back and practice appreciation and gratitude, remembering the feeling of gratitude. 3 full inhales and 3 full exhales. And then with your next exhale, we'll roll all the way over and figure out how to come all the way on up to standing. So just give yourself a moment and take your time, come all the way on up and take a wide stride. So if you're in the room and you want to take a wide stride and look out at the sunny lake, go for it. We're going to do sumo. So in sumo, we take the feet wider than the hips and the heels come in a little bit and the toes go out. And we pause to just feel what we are noticing and take a couple breaths. And like we were working with on our backs, let your chest drop. So with your exhale, can you feel your chest drop down? Let your ribs drop down and back. You might feel a little bit like you're rounding forward or slumping in your posture. So to counter that, you'll take your arm bones and draw your arm bones back a little bit in space, almost like you could feel like you're pulling your shoulder blades together gently. And then see if you can feel the back of your ribs lift up gently with your breathing. You feel the inhale, just gently pull the back of the ribs up. And then with an exhale, keeping this posture, we're going to go down into a sumo, hold with some flexion, ankles, knees, hips. With your next exhale, come all the way on up. Inhale, going down. Exhale, coming up. I'm going to be quiet so you can feel and listen to your breathing. Move from your breath. So maybe you can feel the breath and then move. And then finding a sumo shape that's just the right challenge. So that might be knees bent, really bent, or even straight. And then bringing awareness back to the feelings of gratitude. And just let your breath flow gratitude through your body for 3 breaths. And when you're ready with your exhale, coming all the way on up. Sweet. Stepping both feet together. Letting your arms hang. If you're looking out at the lake, if you're in the room, softening your gaze. You can let your tongue rest on the roof of the mouth. Taking a few breaths to soften through the jaw, the throat, the chest, the ribs. And with your next exhale, turning towards the back of your mat. So just walk to the back of the mat, facing the front of the mat. And again, dropping your chest, dropping your ribs. Taking your arm bones, drawing them back gently. And then softly lifting the back of the rib cage up with your breathing. With your next exhale, arms flow out to come up. Inhale when you're ready, bending your knees, folding forward. Exhale, lifting your chest, looking out in front of you. Let your shoulder blades slide gently down out of your ears. Hold this shape. Noticing what you feel through the back of your rib cage again. So you feel the rise and fall of the back ribs. Exhale, fold. And then we're going to walk your hands out to either tabletop or downward facing dog. So your choice, building one of those shapes from a place of strength and stability. So if you're in your downward facing dog, feel free to bend your knees. If you're in table, feeling the steadiness of the earth support and hold you up. We'll all be quiet, listen, feel gratitude, appreciation for 3 breaths.
And with that third or fourth exhale, we'll walk your hands back to your feet. So if you were in table, figuring out how to come back to a forward fold. And then with an exhale, we'll slowly come all the way on up, stretch the arms overhead. Inhale, arms to your side. 3 breaths. And then with your exhale, stepping your feet wide. Left leg rolling in. And right leg rolling out. And just walk your right heel back so it's a little more in line with your back heel. And coming back to that posture of dropping the chest and the ribs. Drawing the arm bones back slightly and lifting up through the back of the rib cage. With your next exhale, letting your right knee bend and pause. So with your right knee bent, feel your left thigh bone. That's your straight leg. And press that thigh bone back a little bit to get a little hip opening. And then press without looking at your left pinky toe. Press a little more into that left pinky toe and feel what you feel. And with an inhale, straighten your right leg. Exhale, bend. One more inhale, straighten. And then with your next exhale, we're going to bend the right knee to your capacity and pause. Let the chest relax, let the ribs relax, and lift up through the front of the hip, especially your right hip. Some of us are really dropping the right hip and we look a little bit like my little teapot. Sweet. And bringing your fingertips up to your chest, soft fingers, softening again through the face, through the throat, letting the chest drop. Can you feel your breath down in your lower ribs for 2 breaths? Grounding through your feet, inhale, straightening your right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. About heel to heel. Feeling the feet connect to the whole body. We bend the left knee and pause. Hands on your hips. Your hip bones can lift up. And let the chest drop a little bit, the ribs drop. Draw the arm bones back. Feel the subtleties of the breath in the back. Exhale, straightening the left leg. Inhale, bending. Exhale with your breath, straighten. Holding the left knee bent. Right thigh bone pushes back into that socket, giving some stretch there in that right back hip. Fingertips come together, 2 breaths. Grounding down, exhale, straightening the left leg. I'm just going to steer both feet so they face a little more forward with your knees, hands on your hips. Feel your pelvis. You can lift the front of the hips up. Drop the chest, drop the ribs, bend your knees just a tiny bit and fold over, wide leg forward fold. So as you tip over, push your butt back in space, maybe lengthen, feel the length through your spine as you tip all the way up and over. Your choice, hands in your hips, or maybe your fingertips come to the floor. Maybe you take your hands out a little bit wider over your feet. See if you can tuck your chin and look back behind you. And then for a little more body awareness challenge, shift the weight into the balls of the feet a little more and feel what you feel. Notice what you notice, woo, when the weight shifts forward. And then with your next inhale, just lift your chest slightly. Walk your hands to the front of the mat, the feet to the back of the mat, downward facing dog or tabletop. Your choice, 5 breaths. This might be a really nice time once you feel your shape to use the breath to breathe gratitude through your body. With your next exhale, noticing coming back, maybe you kind of drifted away there, come back to your present moment experience. And then we'll figure out how to come on up to standing so you can walk your hands back towards your feet. Exhale, come all the way on up, do a nice full body stretch. Inhale, arms to the side. 2 breaths. Then we'll step your feet wide one more time. Great, left leg rolls in, right leg rolls out. Drop your chest, drop your ribs, soften through your neck and your jaw. And then let your right knee bend to your capacity and pause. I'm going to hold our side angle a little longer, challenging us to stay with the feelings that arise in the body when we hold poses a little longer. So when you're ready, you're going to tip at your hip, letting your right elbow come down to your right thigh bone. And really set the shape up nice and strong. So feel the foundation of the legs and how your forearm pushes down into your thigh bone to lift you up a little bit through the chest. If you want to take your left arm up towards the ceiling, that works for your back shoulder and shoulder blade, feel free. Great. A little more challenging is that your right butt cheek doesn't push out to the right so much. I'm going to take that right butt cheek and pull it in and then settle into your shape. Drop the ribs, drop the chest. As you hold this, if you want a different challenge, let your right arm straighten and come to the outside of your right leg. And take a few moments to settle and breathe. Just paying attention to the thoughts that arise with your breath. You won't be here forever. And with an exhale, come all the way on up. Take your feet wide, hands on your hips. Using the next 5 breaths for gratitude meditation, coming back in. Maybe you show gratitude for the strength of your body to hold that shape for that long. Maybe you feel gratitude for your breath to breathe through that shape, to move through your body. When you feel your next exhale, right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. When we start to feel a little stress physically, emotionally, it's easy to chest breathe again. So come back to your breathing. Let your chest drop, let your ribs drop. Try and reconnect to the breath lower in the rib cage as you bend your left knee this time. And lifting up through the front of the hips, then we tip over, elbow to your knee. Okay. Did you push your chest forward Are you arching your back? Try and let your chest rest again, soften through the throat, tongue can rest on the roof of the mouth. Maybe you take your right arm up. Try not to push your butt cheek out. You got this. When you feel the shape, just like seated meditation, we sit in that seated meditation, we lie on our back. A little more physical challenge, you can let your left arm straighten on the outside of the left shin. I'm going to hold this shape for about 5 more breaths. With your exhale, coming all the way on up. Wide legs, hands on your hips, pause. It's okay to breathe fast. It's okay to breathe heavy. Noticing your authentic breath. You feel the breath in the lower ribs, the back of the ribs. 2 more breaths. Soft bend in your knees. Shift the weight a little bit forward into the balls of the feet. All right. It'll be most challenging to float your heels like a piece of paper up off the floor. And then we're going to fold forward. So if you lift your heels up a little bit, try not to fall forward. Go nice and slow and strong. Wide leg forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need. There's never any reason to really overstrain the back of the legs. And then from your forward fold, 3 breaths. And then walking your hands to the front, the feet to the back of your mat. Rebuild downward facing dog or tabletop, wherein maybe you take a child's pose if that's what your body needs. It's not so much about what the shape looks like, it's how the shape feels. So move around. How do you feel in the shape that you've made? And showing kindness, showing care and gratitude, 3 breaths. Exhale, hands walk back to your feet. We slowly come all the way on up. Take a nice full stretch. Let your arms come down. 3 breaths, standing mountain meditation. In your standing mountain meditation, again, let your chest drop a little bit. Let your ribs drop a little bit. Draw your arm bones back slightly. And let your inhale float the back ribs up a little. Shifting the weight into your heels, you might find a little bit of like a chair squat. I'm going to pull the arms back. When you pull the arms back here, try really hard to not arch and thrust your chest forward, okay? So even though the arms are coming back, right, and we're tight here, we're going to go ahead, let the chest drop. Let the ribs drop. Okay, now pull the arms back a little bit and see if you can lift up through the back of the ribs. And with an exhale, swing your arms forward and up. Inhale, lift up through the back of the rib cage. Exhale, fold all the way over. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, downward facing dog.
From downward facing dog. This first time, we're going to lower down to your knees. Keep your knees down. Pull your shoulders forward over your wrists a little bit, but try really hard not to sag too much in your low back as you slowly find your version of upward facing dog. So try not to let your pelvis just drop, right? Navel to spine strength, shoulders strong, arm bones back. Curl your toes, back to table, floating table, downward facing dog for 3 breaths. Exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. Swing your arms behind you, come up to a little bit of your chair. Let your ribs and chest drop. Swing your arms up. Exhale, stand up. Arms come down. 3 breaths. With your exhale, weight in your heels. Sit your bum back a little bit. Get into your hamstrings and your glutes. Swing your arms back. Just kind of let the front of the chest have a little more space. Drop the ribs. Oh, so easy across the chest. Swing the arms forward and up. Exhale, when you're ready, fold forward. Inhale, with your inhale, peel your chest up. Exhale, build your downward facing dog. Optional straight arm plank, or stay in downward facing dog for 3 breaths. From plank or down dog, upward facing dog, your version. So in that upward facing dog, remember, we're taking the shoulders forward of the wrists. So back of the shoulders really strong. Chest lifting up. And with an exhale, we meet back in downward facing dog. Maybe you get there through tabletop. And then downward facing dog for 3 breaths. Exhale, hands walk back to your feet. Coming all the way on up. Arms to your side, 3 breaths. Next exhale, build your little chair. Inhale, arms swing forward. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, downward facing dog. Decide if you want a down dog, a tabletop, or a straight arm plank. Skip up dog or flow forward to your upward facing dog. We meet back in downward facing dog for 5 breaths. Remember, self-care, taking care. How do you feel in this shape? Do you need a break? Come on down. Maybe down dog's a little challenging and you come down to tabletop or go to child's pose. With your next exhale, bending your knees, coming to tabletop. And in your tabletop, let's start at the top of your head. Just kind of look down, feeling the head, the neck, the shoulders, feeling the rib cage, feeling the pelvis, feeling your knees and your legs. Everything connected.
And you feel, notice the stability and then the mobility of the breath through the back ribs. Lifting your ears up as high as your shoulders. Let's tuck your chin and go down your spine, vertebra by vertebra, rounding into a cat. Hold your cat for a breath. And then go down your spine into a cow. So chin will slide away from the chest. You're going to trickle down your spine to find your cow. When you get to your cow, hold for a breath. Trickle down into your cat. When you get to your cat, hold your cat for a breath. And trickle down into your cow. Hold your cow for a breath. And then back to your table. Breathing into your back, full inhale, full exhale. And then we'll sit all the way back and come to crisscross applesauce. So having a seat, bringing your legs out in front of you. Okay. If this is, pretty challenging, if you're at home or in your office, you can always run and grab a blanket, a towel, a block to sit on. If you're here, you could fold your mat up. If it's really tight in your hips, feel free to bring your feet out in front, okay? So we're gonna start by feeling those sit bones. You have to rock side to side a little bit. Those are your roots. So feeling your sit bones with your thigh bones, not forcing, just let gravity do what gravity does. And as you feel that anchoring through the pelvic floor, the sit bones, the thigh bones, let your chest, let your ribs drop. Maybe draw your arm bones back a little bit to get the chest, that feeling of openness. And see if the lift can come more subtly through the back of the ribs again. So to sit up nice and tall, it's more organic from that deep yogic philosophy down creating up, more so than forcing. And then see if you can hold this posture and spin the rib cage over to the right. And then breathing 3 mindful, thoughtful breaths through the back ribs, back lungs. And then after that third exhale, all the way around to the left. And then right back to center. Great, we'll bring your feet right out in front of you. Keep a little bit of a bend in your knees. You'll take your pelvis forward. Outstretch, just grab what's available. Soften through the chest again, soften through the rib cage, and gently lift up through the back of the ribs. 3 breaths. And then with an exhale, finding either a comfortable seated shape or lying all the way on your back. Put a hand on your chest, maybe a hand on your belly, and reconnect to the breath. So either sitting or lying back, coming full circle, back to gratitude. Feeling 2 or 3 things you're extremely grateful for. And with your breath,
Feeling and breathing appreciation and gratitude. We'll take the last few moments here in silence. Relationship of gratitude, your breath through your body. Noticing how you're feeling energetically, emotionally,